Hello, everybody. My name is Freeman Michaels.
And my name is Danielle St. John, and I am running for Congress in California's 49th District.
In today's live stream, we are going to talk about McCabe's firing. This is McCabe, the second, what was his official title? I always think of it as number 2 in the FBI.
Director, the deputy director.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
So his firing, which some people are saying is more corruption, and other people are saying, yes, right on, finally. And then we're also going to talk about someone's favorite subject, well, not so much favorite subject, but subject that really needs to get out, and that would be human trafficking. Mm-hmm. So we want to start with do you want to do your video, or you want to do the videos for
later?
The
videos for later, yeah.
Okay. So let's start with the FBI.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so McCabe got fired. And okay, so this, I don't think was a shock for a lot of people. The fun part is that he got fired like 2 days before his pension, kicked in. So that's a little weird, right? This is the government, right? Like they don't take away pensions for anything.
That was weird. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like, it feels to me like Trump is either taunting them or he's a petulant child.
Yeah.
And depending on how you view Trump, then that's probably what your decision is going to be on that one. Mm-hmm. But you're right. It seems, the timing seems odd, but nothing about any of the last year and a half or 2 years has been normal. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get into the human trafficking later. But for me, there was a lot of the QAnon stuff that started in 2015, and that set an interesting narrative where there's all this stuff going on behind the scenes. And there's little hints about it going on, but nothing solid. And the only thing I've seen solid is Trump's executive order about human trafficking. Mm-hmm. And other than that, everything to me has like been, well, it's almost there and it's almost not. So here's McCabe, another example of that. And is McCabe getting close to Trump's Russia collusion? And that's why he was fired, because that's what's his name? Ed Krausen. Do you know that guy on Twitter? He's got a lot of followers. He's a resist type leader. And he posted that this is just another example of Trump's Russia collusion. Mm-hmm. And that's, of course, if you believe the DNC and the CIA and all those people. But, of course, the other side is that they're all in on it. McCabe is in on it because McCabe's wife got money for, didn't it, how did that work out? His wife got money from Hillary's people?
Yes.
I don't even remember. I can't keep them straight.
I don't know the exact, there's some kind of avenue that McCabe's wife ran for political office, and Hillary Clinton, through some avenue, gave money to this campaign. So, and I guess a pretty significant amount.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's just yet another example of, it seems like a major grift or a massive lie is going around in the government, and the same people seem to be circling the wagons. And if you look at McCabe's history, he also had a history of lying. I can't even remember him anymore, but it's like I saw there was something with 9/11. I was like, oh, there he is back then. Mm-hmm. Just like with Rumsfeld back in the day. It's like you can look, and Rumsfeld was lurking around in the 80s, and all of a sudden he's back into 2000. And it's like the same people are kind of doing the same things. So for me, McCabe firing, it's like not that I overly trust Trump. It's that, I don't know, it's this whole, the people who keep not telling us stuff are the people I trust less.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then you can just look at how the media is spinning all of this. And there's people like setting up like GoFundMes for this guy so he can feed his family, and like, oh, come on, please go look up his net worth before you give anything to a person like that.
I would assume he's probably reasonably well off. The number 650,000 strikes me in the head. Like, I feel like that's what his wife got for their Senate campaign. Look, I mean, if the guy's innocent and Trump is getting rid of him before his pension and he has a legitimate grievance, then he should air it and it should come out. But if that happened and you had a legitimate grievance, wouldn't you be yelling and screaming about it? I haven't looked into this a whole lot, but it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot going on in terms of pushback about his firing, other than the regular noise.
Right.
And for me, this is one of the reasons why I don't look into a lot of these too much, is that I already don't trust government. And for me, it's kind of like Judicial Watch will let me know when they've found something, and they've been asking for every government document related to this stuff and getting very little. And I figure once they speak up and they say they have something, is probably a closer time when I'll look. But all of this, to me, seems like a lot of noise because we still don't really know what's going on. We can only speculate.
Right. So that's really all that we wanted to talk about for the news. Well, Justin's on a plane. That's kind of news. Justin, he'll be here
That's
landing.
Your campaign manager?
Yes, Justin Stewart, my campaign manager. I'm sorry, for the new people. He's on a plane right now. He'll be landing at 8 o'clock. So we're very excited about that. Okay. So now I guess the main topic, and this is something that I knew I was going to have to address sooner rather than later. So I figured I'd just come out and start talking about human trafficking and how, first of all, in my district, in my county, we have an international border. And so there is a lot of human trafficking going on in San Diego, a lot. And if you ask any of the law enforcement in San Diego, if they think that there's a problem with human trafficking, they will say absolutely there is a huge trafficking problem. Also, if you go into any hotel in San Diego and you ask the people who work there if human trafficking is a huge problem, they will say yes, it is a huge problem in San Diego. So, Pizzagate and Pedogate. How does that tie into human trafficking? Essentially, that's what that's what it is. That's what these are hashtags that were created because there was some suspicion that through WikiLeaks, that there may have been some human trafficking going on in the DC area. So,
and it seemed to pick up steam with WikiLeaks because there was definitely a lot of people accusing this before.
Yes. Oh, yeah. This has been going on for a very, very long time. This is certainly not a new thing, but I think it got on a lot more people's radar because of the WikiLeaks. And now in the WikiLeaks, it doesn't say like come to this place at this time to pick up a little boy. It does. That's not what we're saying. But so. If you think that, code words, right? There's code words used for a lot of things, especially illegal things. And and that's actually a huge factor. I'm not sure how many of you guys don't really believe that code words are a thing, but, I kind of,
You've been looking into it a lot, and that's one of the sticking points that people say, that they don't know what this stuff is. I think one of the quotes from John Podesta's email was, do you think I'd play dominoes better on cheese or pasta? And that sentence doesn't make any sense, but when you do it in the context of some of the other creepy art that these people all seem to be hanging around with, and then you hear some of the accusations, and then we'll talk about a little bit later how a lot of the media covers this stuff up, it's a good guess, and it's at least a reasonable enough guess to warrant looking into it.
Mm-hmm. So now, and I'm not really going to go into how we found out. These are the truthers I'm talking about. How we found out about this trafficking in DC, but we did find out that there's trafficking in DC. And now the most surprising part about this is how the media and the police department reacted to this. And so that's really, this has kind of been a common theme now, if you guys have been watching these live streams, about how the media tries to paint a narrative. We were just talking about it with McCabe, right? Mm-hmm. How poor McCabe, right? It's all over, the mainstream media. So what the mainstream media did with Pizzagate, which was, James Alefontes, there's a pizza shop owner that was mentioned in the WikiLeaks many, many times. There's actually one where he did a few fundraisers for Hillary Clinton. Mm. And one of them was an email basically saying, oh, thank you so much for, giving, me the opportunity to do this thing, right? And I just regret that I couldn't make you one of my special pizzas. So we'll have to schedule it sometime soon. And it's like, well, okay, well, you're talking about an event you just catered. You didn't make pizza. You're a pizza shop owner, right? So that's kind of, and so when you, and then so that's just when, because I do this too, like little puzzle pieces, like that kind of got put into a file. And then when you start to, hey, do you want to go get pizza for an hour, Do you think that I would do better putting Domino's on cheese than pasta? All of these pizza keeps getting brought up many times,
or
right?
Food items. There's a lot of food.
Food items, and so that kind of started to get people thinking about, well, what is actually going on with this pizza shop, right? And so what happened is both the right and the left came out and had James Alefantis on their shows to tell his story about how just this this pizza shop owner who's just trying to do his job, and is being harassed now. And so that was weird that they were coming to his aid so aggressively on both the right.
Because it didn't seem like it was a big deal yet.
Yeah, right.
Why would you escalate it? Because without it being escalated in the mainstream media, it would have just gone away if it was a no story.
Yes, exactly.
So, but they had to squash it for some reason. It seems
right.
like.
Yes, exactly. And so now people who are putting these links together now. Okay, so what is a hashtag? That's another important part of this picture. A hashtag is a way for people who don't know each other, don't have any friends in common, to be able to look up and connect on a certain topic, right? So basically, the hashtag Pizzagate and the hashtag Pedogate, they had to go because that was a way that I don't think that the establishment was really was really thinking about hashtags and thinking about how we were starting to connect with social media. So what they did was, I believe, they created kind of a campaign to destroy those hashtags, to destroy those channels of communication. So that basically anybody who said who put hashtag Pizzagate or Pedogate in any of the articles that they were sharing, it's like a hot potato. Like nobody wanted to touch it. You were automatically crazy. And it was very all at once echo chamber kind of stuff, right? So
and you certainly couldn't as a journalist.
What?
And you certainly couldn't bring it up as a journalist.
Right. Oh, yeah, right. Ben, and look what happened to Ben Swan. The only real news story that I saw about Pizzagate was done by Ben Swan, and it was very well done. He left some things out that I wish he would have put in, but you look up Ben Swan Pizzagate on YouTube and look up the one news story about it that wasn't like, ooh, crazy conspiracy theories, look what they're up to now. So he did this story, and he immediately got fired from I think it was CBS Atlanta. So that's what is going on. So not only is it is the media rushing to the aid of the people involved in this developing story, but they also silence anybody who even attempts to cover it, even balanced. I felt it was a pretty balanced coverage, a news story on it.
Well, so I thought the interesting thing about the actual what was Pizzagate, like with Zach, whatever his name, Alefantis' shop, James, and that some guy had it in his head that there were kids chained in the basement of this pizza shop, and if you have the means to own and purchase children as sex slaves, you are not going to store them in the basement of a pizza shop.
Right. You
are going to have another place for them, and they're going to be psychologically manipulated, and you could just drop them off in a car and they won't run away for whatever reason. So they made the entire Pizzagate movement, whatever that movement is, seem crazy because one guy took it literally and went downstairs with a gun. And didn't you say he shot like the servers? And I don't want to go into that one.
So
but it's like for that, it takes away the topic that we need to be talking about, and that is there something really strange going on with all this stuff, and how come people aren't asking these questions? Why isn't the media asking these questions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, instead it seems that they are giving them basically cover. It's sympathy. They're giving this guy sympathy, and I think there's a lot more deserving people of sympathy than a millionaire. But so then,
or at least tell the other side of the story.
Right. So then now this is the truther community. Like, this is something that I was following as it developed. We were kind of watching all of this unfold, And one person, one researcher, Titus Frost, has brought on a computer hacker that went, supposedly, this is all allegedly, guys, this is all allegedly, but went into, there was a login, like a member login on the Comet Ping Pong website. So, and he said that supposedly he was able to hack into it, and there were it looked like there was, at least naked children on there, maybe, naked children, pictures of naked children, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. So this hacker immediately turned it over to the DCPD and said, look, there's, it's on the server. I can, help you with whatever you need, information, how to, but I stopped looking because that's, sick, right? So the DCPD, I guess, allegedly said, okay, great, we'll investigate on it, don't really report on it yet. And then week later is when the guy, what was his name?
I don't know, I didn't give him this.
It'll come to me. Anyway, but he comes in with a gun, and I believe only takes one shot, and it went into a coat closet, which happened to have the computer server that was being investigated on it. So, and
this was the one guy that was the crazy that went into the pizza shop, right?
Yeah, that guy. It's gonna come to me. I know. Anyway, so that's what was going on with that, with the DCPD. And could be coincidence. All of this stuff could be coincidence, right? All of it could be coincidence. But when you add on the fact that like I said, the media is trying to cover it, they're squashing trying to, bring sympathy to this pizza shop owner. The hashtags are getting squashed. Anybody who talks out about it gets fired immediately. And then you throw in the fact that every media outlet that covers it is saying, oh, it's debunked. Who debunked it? Who debunked it? I want to know who did it. I want to know when they did it. I want to know when they released the report. I want to know all of it, because nobody has seen it. There has yet to be an investigation of Pizzagate by the DCPD. And so if you want to come and say that it was debunked, you need to please provide in the comments below who debunked it. Please and thank you.
Yeah, I think it's absurd that we know there's stuff going on because the mainstream media has actually reported on it, but then they don't keep reporting on it, so it just kind of fades away. Like, there have been some BBC reports on sex trafficking, and there have been some reports, I forgot the channel on the network, but it was one of the major ones, MSNBC, CBS or whatnot, was talking about how people high up in the State Department, and this is recently, within the last decade, were mixed up with human trafficking. And well, these are the Obama people, and these are a lot of the Bush people, and it's like they're all clearly covering something up. Yeah. And it sure seems like it's part of it, at least, is human trafficking, because those reports have surfaced, and they surfaced in 60 Minutes, they surfaced in BBC, and they surfaced in one of our, I think it was NBC. But they only get surfaced once, and then they just kind of get pushed away and never repeated again. And people just kind of, it's like when it's not really talked about and amped up in the news, people don't really think it's a problem. And that in and of itself is a problem, because that means that whatever becomes profitable for the news industry to give to us is what's going to dictate much of our behavior.
So when we talk about Pedogate, this is, look at what we just described in a very short period of time. We have multiple industries, we have government officials, we have, what about the Catholic Church? We didn't even bring up the Catholic Church, right?
I didn't.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing, is like, if you don't think that pedophilia and human trafficking are big deals, I think maybe more research needs to be done.
Well, here's one way to look at it, and it's that you don't have to have evidence that they do this stuff. What you have to know is you have to accept that it happens, which it's hard to deny. Human trafficking happens, and if people are looking the other way in government, that means someone, at least at that level, is saying, hey, let's look away. So if someone at the State Department is looking away, you have to be very high up. If your whole entire State Department's like, well, not a big deal. Or if it's like anyone who's in a position of power, if they didn't want this human trafficking to go on, they could make a stink about it. And so why are they not? They're either sadly complicit, or they're not being able to speak their mind for some reason.
Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, there was a woman named Laura Silsby who went down to Haiti after the earthquake, and basically was arrested for trying to bring children from over the border from Haiti to the Dominican Republic without paperwork, and most of these kids still had parents alive and stuff. And went to jail in Haiti, and very shortly after that, Hillary Clinton pulled strings, got her back here pretty quietly. I think she may have served a short prison sentence here in the States, maybe, but now changed her name to Laura Gaylor and works for Amber Alert. So this is when we say it's a gate, it's just, pizza was really just, the gate to a much darker place, to a much deeper web of cover-ups and of course, and when you think about it, if this crime needs to be covered up, because when you think about society and what society thinks about pedophilia, it's the worst thing that any kind of official or
there's no socially accepting it.
Exactly. So it's kind of, so there is a lot of incentive to keep this stuff covered up. Right?
Yeah, and who would be able to keep it up? Well, the people who are powerful enough to do it.
Right.
And that's the scary thing, is that, okay, well, maybe our presidents aren't involved in it, but someone powerful enough to keep them at bay is. And it probably wouldn't even take that much money, but it still seems to be a massive problem that, oddly enough, the media, the Reefer Madness media, who hasn't seemed to report on anything that's not profitable in a long time, they seem to be complicit in not talking about it.
Or trying to cover it up, honestly.
Yeah,
so.
flat out not covering it up.
Right.
Do you have the video that you wanted to play?
Right.
It's like a 45-second?
Yeah, it's really quick, but this is just another example of how much of a problem our government actually does know that this is. And this is a Department of Homeland Security ad that was released, I believe, last year about human trafficking.
The signs are everywhere. Sometimes you just have to take a second look. Human trafficking is modern-day slavery, and it happens in our own communities. Victims can be any gender, age, or race. Join the Department of Homeland Security's Blue Campaign to learn how to recognize and report this heinous crime. Your second look could be their second chance.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but it opened up with in front of a pizza shop with a Haitian kind of looking girl in the background, and it's like, this was when Pizzagate was at its height that this ad came out. There was two of them actually that came out, and the other one Freeman thinks is creepy as all hell. But I actually like it, so I'm going to post the other one in the.
I didn't remember that one, but yeah,
in the comments.
I think they're.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people
creepy.
will be able to relate to it. I know, but this whole subject is creepy, you guys, and that's why nobody really wants to talk about it. But we know that people in positions of power do this stuff, and I'm sorry that we have to talk about it, but it's a huge problem in the country. It's a huge problem in San Diego and
Hollywood and various industries.
Hollywood. Corey Feldman, you guys need to look up Corey Feldman, honestly.
He's been tweeting about it.
Yeah.
And Weinstein, it's like we can't ignore his massive connections to both parties, and we can't ignore Bill Clinton's trips to whatever that was, Lolita Island.
Pedophile Island,
yeah,
Little St. James.
And it's like these aren't mysteries. Like that's out there. He pardoned the guy that was convicted of pedophilia. So what's really going on? Maybe it's not pedophilia, but it's enough that people should, especially given what the subject is, we should band together and not accept this from our government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So I knew that this was going to come up sooner rather than later, since I'm running for Congress and people like to throw dirt. And so I just wanted to address it now and say anybody who wants to have a conversation about human trafficking, Pizzagate, Pedogate, trying to discredit a way for people to come together and connect dots, anything like that. I can even go deeper down this rabbit hole. I could talk about Pizzagate,
It's on your Facebook wall. It's all there.
It's all there, guys. Yeah. So I'll probably be doing more live streams about more specifics of it in the future. But I just wanted to put my thoughts out there. It's not a secret. I'm not planning on hiding anything. And as far as the truther movement goes, I think that the people who participate in this, the people that I guess identify with the term truthers, I think that those are where our great leaders are going to be found, honestly. So I think that, this is kind of my call to the truther movement, to run for everything that you guys can, because you guys are awake to things that a lot of people haven't been able to accept yet, and they're going to need people to help them through it.
One of the things I think is interesting about conspiracy theorists and the truther movement is, of course, you get labeled as crazy, but really, what is crazy about speculating what our government or what greedy people would do behind closed doors? Is it that beyond reason to expect that someone might be a little greedy and a little corrupt and might be chasing something? It's like, of course, people are going to do some weird stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you have the outlook that your family is above everything and your family in the past has been above everything, and that's how you move through the world, it wouldn't take much to plan a lot of stuff that would just sound like absolute crazy conspiracy, because you were just born into it and that's the world you knew. Mm-hmm. And I think even if we don't know that things are real or not, if there is a financial incentive for that thing to happen, I think it's worth protecting ourselves from, or worth considering that there's going to be a corruption problem there.
Right.
But the thing that I can't stand is when people try to bully others and give you their judgment that you're crazy for thinking this might be true, when everyone's got a different set of confirmation biases and a different set of way to analyze things. And if we judge each other, that's just going to suppress ideas. Mm-hmm. And I get that you don't want people to troll you with about what if, but also do people the courtesy of just letting them research and do what they want, as opposed to calling them names, because they actually might be right one of these times.
They're mostly right, actually. It's just too hard for people to accept a lot of this stuff. But there's a reason that we're bombing 7 countries right now, and it's not because we're a country of peace. And
and the media is complicit.
The media is definitely complicit. So. Just one more thing, you guys, just look up DynCorp. Thank you, Chelsea Manning, for revealing what an awful corporation DynCorp is. But look it up. That's another really big human trafficking avenue. So, that's
all right. Well, that's what we have. If you want to follow us, we are on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. I think if you go to humanitymerises.info, there is a YouTube channel link, and you can click it there, and that will take it to our channel. We are updating that website right now to point to her campaign instead of mine, but that'll be up shortly. And all of our contact info is on that website.
We might be jumping on a little bit later once we pick Justin up from the airport, depending on how he's doing. Live stream. Yay! Okay, but
thanks, everybody.
We'll talk soon.